Good morning and a very warm welcome to you all once again on another episode of Safari Live here in Djuma in South Africa, where the temperature is a very nice 18 degrees Celsius, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. My name is Steve Falconbridge and I'm joined for the first time on my account with Fergus on camera. Looking forward to a nice morning of exploration in the Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Kruger National Park, South Africa. Please feel free to send through your comments on the hashtag Safari Live or follow us on the YouTube stream. Let us know what you'd like us to see this morning. I've got Scott Dyson out on vehicle, as well as Taylor McCurdy out in a vehicle. This morning Rexon has got an injury in his foot, so he'll not be joining us. We've got 3 vehicles. Please let us know what you'd like to see, and we are going to continue on in this morning. I would like to maybe look for tracks of Tumba from yesterday. Have not seen that young gentleman yet, and that will be my plan for the morning. But please feel free to send through your comments, and let's see how we can accommodate you. We had a wonderful afternoon yesterday. David and myself walking. It's really nice. We are currently in quarantine in the middle section, not far from the lodge, just skirting around, seeing if there's any tracks. You never know what could be lurking in and around. The wild dogs apparently passed all the way through Djuma to Nkoro last night. I think Taylor might have some more updates about that. And while we continue on, we're going to head towards Gilago area, see where Tumba was last seen, and then in the meantime we're going to go to Scott Dyson for his introduction.
Hello everyone and welcome on board. My name is Scott Dyson and I'm teamed up with Davy on camera on this beautiful morning. As I'm sure Steve's already discussed with you, it's magical conditions for a safari, and just like Steve, I'm also searching for a leopard, but not a male. I am searching for a female and her young cub. Her name is Thandi. The cub does not have a name, and we haven't seen them for quite some time. They haven't been seen for about, coming on 3 weeks. They have been around, but they've just been spending time off of our area of traverse. So we had some of their tracks 2 days ago coming on to Djuma, and yesterday we were so busy with other leopards that we didn't really have time to look for them. So I'm hoping they're still going to be around, and I'm just checking the road very carefully for any tracks and signs of them, and hopefully those tracks and signs, when we do find them, will lead us to the leopards. Failing that, we could just get lucky and bump into them walking straight down the road towards us. That would be nice. So I'm using the spotlight to try and create some artificial sunlight. I'm holding it at a low angle and checking the road carefully for any tracks. Nothing there. If you were to shine the spotlight straight down onto the tracks, like the sun being directly above us, it would create kind of flat light, so not easy to see the tracks. That's why it's important to hold it at a low angle, so you can create some shadows along the ridges of the track. And soon the sun will be up, and it is going to be a very nice morning. Perfect conditions for tracking. Alrighty. Well, we've been doing 2 drives and 1 bushwalk. That's kind of been our format for the last few drives. But today we have 3 vehicles out, and Taylor is out and about, slowly making her way towards Chitwa.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to be doing this morning. Hopefully we're going to find all sorts of wonderful things at Chitwa. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And the last drive that Sebastian and I did together, it was the most epic game drive ever in the Masai Mara. We had crown cranes and Egyptian geese having a go at a small python. We had leopards having their kills stolen by hyenas and crossings coming out of our ears. So it's good to be back with you, Seb. 5 months ago. It was quite a long time ago, but it was a good one that's ingrained in my memory ever since. Now, we are on our way to Chitwa, but I have a quick update for all of you. So last night we spent, 3 hours with the wild dogs, which was really quite cool for World Wildlife Day. Then I got an update from my dear friend Peter from Nkoro, who said that the wild dogs are now at Nkoro and they are chasing a scrub hare and an elephant is chasing them. So that sounds quite exciting. So before we even get onto Chitwa, we're going to do a boundary patrol. We'll do Triple M, Gowrie Main, and then all the way up to the Nkoro driveway, basically where the Cheetah Plains driveway also meets them. And we're going to see if those dogs maybe don't come back this side, or perhaps they'll pop onto Chitwa somewhere. So keep your fingers crossed, and we're going to hope to see them again. If not, we'll go scouring around for perhaps Hosanna's around, or you never know, maybe Kuchaba, Tingana. It seems as though he's been hanging around doing his duty on Chitwa for most of the time these days. It's a bit strange coming back and having all the dynamics changing and having to learn the animal movements again. But it won't be maybe a week before I get back into the swing of things again. I always forget when I'm talking to all of you that I should probably also check for animals and tracks. I get horribly distracted. Cool. We won't go the sneaky shortcut. Let's check all the way to the gate. Now, a question from Piney Meadows, not a question, a request, in fact. And you've asked me if I could go find the McCurdy Hurdy. I would absolutely love to find the McCurdy Hurdy, but I don't, or if I'd even recognize them anymore. It's been so long. And I'd like to ask a question. You are welcome to. I forgot to tell you all of this. Hashtags live on Twitter. You can talk to us by Let's see. No, nothing too interesting here. No, that's for sure. So, I don't even know who would be down in the... Who is left there? It's going to be very hard to show you, I'm afraid, because it's still quite dark. It's the wild dogs. They must have come around here and done a loop and then run straight up. We know that they can travel huge distances very quickly. We were chatting about it yesterday. We spent some good quality time with the hounds. Okay, we're on Triple M now. We'll keep an eye out for any tracks of any leopards or perhaps some lions coming through. Scotty D is on the lookout for Tumba. Hopefully he's going to get him. So sorry, I've just had a massive insect fly into my eye. Yo, that went straight into my eye. My goodness. Yeah. Faith, I don't think you're going to be able to stay with me because I don't think I'm going to be able to look back. Sorry, everybody, about this. I've just got a massive insect in my eye and I need to try and get it out because otherwise I'm not going to be able to drive or do anything. It seems as though we are having a couple of technical difficulties and I've been attacked by an insect. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to Tech Loop. I'm so sorry I can't even look at you, but we'll be back shortly, I promise.
Yeah, we've got lucky. Sorry about the small tech issue, but we found Thandi. And I'm not too sure what's got her attention. You can see she's kind of sneaking up quite stealthily towards us. And there's something in the area that she's very interested by. I'm not sure if it's the cub. We haven't seen the young cub yet. Look at her creeping up there. Making sure she doesn't get detected. What have you detected? It looks like she can hear something. She's listening very carefully. Watch how she positions her feet very carefully on the ground, not to make any noise. And she'll also put her back foot exactly where her front foot has just been registered. That's also another wonderful thing we can see from that same spot. I can't believe how lucky we've got. Now the cub must be somewhere here. The cub's tracks was with the mother's. But maybe she told the cub to stay put. Where we first saw her somewhere further behind us, so that she could try and hunt or work out whatever is up ahead of her here. It's so good to see you again, Thandi. Looks like your belly's fairly decently full, so I'm guessing her and her youngster have been enjoying snacking on something. I wonder what it is. Joshua, you suggest that maybe Thandi's trying to hunt an impala. Well, we actually drove along this road towards where we are now and didn't see anything here. So that's why I'm quite surprised by the fact that she seems to think there is something. But of course, a leopard's senses is far better than mine. And it seems like, you know, in my opinion, she must have heard something. And she's not necessarily sure what it is. But she just thought she'd creep in a little bit closer to investigate. Sure, what a beautiful scene. We've been spoiled rotten with leopards over the last couple of days. And I'm hoping our luck continues. Snazzy, yes indeed, she certainly is in stealth mode. She's almost looking like she's been a naughty girl. She keeps looking over her shoulder with a bit of a guilty face, it appears to me. So, maybe she's been misbehaving, who knows. Now, I wonder where the cub is, because like I said, the cub's tracks were walking alongside Mom, and I literally saw a track where we park now, and we saw her just off the road. And then she made her way back to where she had come from. So, interesting stuff. And I'm hoping this little cub is not too far about, or not too far away. And also, I cannot wait to see how much it's grown. Because it's been quite some time, and at this rate of a cub's life, their growth is incredibly fast. So I think we could all be in for a bit of a surprise when we do see it. Absolutely awesome. Thandi, why have you got that pulling that funny face today? Hey? Why? It almost looks like she's a little bit sad / guilty. Sally, you'd like to know if she's close to Hukumuri? Well, she's probably about 3/4 of a mile away from where we last saw him yesterday evening. We're not too sure where he's ended up, but as a general rule, as far as we're aware, he doesn't come this far east into Djuma just yet. Ooh, is she going to walk under the car? I thought for a second she might, because we parked on a bit of a kind of embankment that creates quite a lot of space underneath the car, and sometimes leopards will actually move under the car, especially when they're sneaking around like this. But I think even better and more exciting than her walking under the vehicles, I think she's going to take us back to the little cub now that she's worked out what exactly is not there that she thought was there. I'm hoping she's going to let the cub come out and return to business as normal. Okay, we're going to have to reposition and get into a good spot and send you across to Steve while we do that.
Well done, Scott, on a very successful morning already. Thandi just materializing out of nowhere. I think that's marvelous. Let's hope she manages to lead Scott Dyson to that little bundle of joy that I have not seen in over a month. And we were just on our way out, and we found ourselves a beautiful big male giraffe who is doing what he does best, and he's chewing the cud. Watch closely, folks. He's just swallowed the bolus. Watch the throat. 3, 2, there we go. You see that? See how they fill their mouth with what they call the cud, or the bolus, and they chew that and chew that and chew that with this very sharp angular teeth, grinding and grinding, making the plant particles into extremely small pieces, which will then slowly sink from the one chamber of the stomach to the next, and also covered in lots and lots and lots of saliva. It's got a little bit of an injury there. So, and it'll go down and eventually go through the stomach and get digested. So what this male giraffe is doing, he's... Okay, well, we're going to go over to Scott because he's got something far more interesting than this big male giraffe.
We've just got a glimpse of the cub, but sadly it's disappeared behind this dead tree. And they are moving through a very, very tricky area where it's going to be super tricky for us to follow them. But let's see how am I best going to go about this. Okay, we're going to have to do a radical loop ahead here because there's just simply too many small little riverbeds there that are in our way. But I'm confident that if we loop around, we might be able to just get another quick view of them. Oy. These little vehicles of ours are so useful in times like this when we have to negotiate some thick vegetation or some steep banks. So I'm feeling confident we might be able to sneak us round into a decent spot. The cub has grown a lot. We just got a few brief moments with it before it disappeared behind that bush. Yeah, they come straight towards us at about 10, Dave. Okay, we're in luck. She's slowly making her way straight towards us. Here she comes. Well done, Dave. Keep coming. Don't go that way. Okay, I'm going to keep moving a little bit. Okay, everyone. Sorry, I'm just listening to the game drive radio as well. I'm going to have to give Taxon an update quickly as to where we are. But here we are. We're going to get some great views now. Absolutely awesome. So there's Mom, and here comes the little cub. That's not so little anymore. Morning, you. We haven't seen you for so long. Okay, guys, I'm just going to get on the radio to Taxon quickly. Tax, we're on central east of Inyala Road, north and south at the moment. Oh, how cool was that little jump? That was epic. Sorry guys, I just need to keep giving Tax updates. I didn't give him the best updates. She's slowly mobile east, just north of central, east of the drainage. How cool is this, guys? And it looks like this cub is in a very playful mood. And I'm very happy to hear that a lot of you are ecstatic about this incredible, incredible scene. And it seems like they're going to come walking quite close past the vehicle. This cub's having a tricky time negotiating this long green grass. Yay! We got them! And it's been quite a while since this little cub's seen us, and that's why it's looking a little bit inquisitively. But you can see it certainly hasn't lost its playful, almost rebellious nature. Thandi's still not looking very happy. I'm not too sure what's going on, Thandi. Stop pulling that funny face. The cub, on the other hand, is making up for its mom's kind of solemn mood. And I think because it's been such a long time since we've seen this little family of leopards, we should invite in on board some other viewers on another platform. So I'm just going to keep quiet for a second before we do so. Hello everyone and welcome to the Sabi Sands in South Africa. As you can see, we've got a tiny little leopard cub and its mother. My name's Scott and it's a great pleasure to welcome you on board this live safari. Please let us know how you're feeling and any questions you would like to ask using the comment box below. We haven't seen this leopardess and her cub for about 3 weeks now, so we're incredibly excited to see them again, and it appears like they are showing us an incredible morning. The cub is looking so playful, bounding around with joy, and isn't this an absolutely magical scene? It's just going on 6 a.m. here in South Africa, and we have got incredibly lucky. We followed these leopards' footprints to where we found them in this area just a few moments ago, and we are looking forward to see what they get up to. Looks like they're fairly well fed, so I'm guessing they are moving from one area where they've had a kill. I think we need to move as well. So they're moving from one area where they've had a kill into another area to see what other food they can find. Nelly, I'm happy to hear that your heart is very full, having now seen this leopardess and her youngster. So is mine. Now, just need to try and work out what our best way is to loop ahead of them. They may actually pop back out onto this road. It seems like that's the kind of direction they're heading in, and I want to try and race ahead, turn the vehicle around and have them walking straight down the barrel towards us. So that is the plan. Oh, sorry. Franklin got a little bit of a fright as we came past. Okay, let me turn around here quickly. Got her there, Dave. Okay. So we do have visual of her, but I just want to turn around nicely. Okay. A few more seconds and we're going to get some wonderful views of them. Here we go. Here they come. Roshni, you've just commented on how quickly this cub has grown up and how awesome it is, and it really is awesome, and the fact that we've been able to follow its life so closely, other than the last 3 weeks that they've been away, is really truly special. Now, don't be alarmed, she's walking right alongside the vehicle, just a few meters from us. The cub's not as confident as Mom yet, but we are incredibly lucky in this area of South Africa in that we get the most fascinating sightings of leopards, where they are very habituated to our presence. They're certainly not tame, they're not hand-reared. There goes the cub, slinking through the grass. Donald, you would like to know how old this young cub is, and we guess it was born somewhere around kind of the 10th of November is a rough date that we're working off. We don't know exactly when, but somewhere in that kind of area. So December, January, February, March, yeah, around 4 months at the moment, there and thereabouts. And it's only for the last month or so that the cub's really been moving a lot with Mom. The first 3 months of a leopard's life they kind of spend in quite a small area, while the cub is not as mobile and a lot smaller. And from about 3 months of age roughly, the cub starts to move a lot more with the mother, from kill to kill. Okay, she's still going down the road, so that's the good news. Looks like she just stopped there to call the cub. Oh, there it just slunk out of the grass. And Sheila, you'd like to know how old does a cub need to be before it can start climbing trees? Well, from I think as young as a month they will start exploring in and around their den. So we're in for a treat. So I just need to move the vehicle quickly. We might be able to see the leopards and an elephant in the same shot. There's a big elephant just up ahead of us here. And yes, Erica, this is certainly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Look at this. How crazy! What next? Now, I'm sure this leopard is just going to slink past straight in front of the elephants. Not too concerned. I just want to move the vehicle quickly because sadly those bushes are in the way. I didn't realize how perfectly it was all going to pan out. Oh! Now the leopards have slunk off. It looked like the elephant may have spotted them. And it's a big old bull. I'm sure he's not going to pay too much attention to them, but we just prefer them out the way. I'm not actually convinced he did see them, though. The elephant's eyesight isn't great. I don't think he was just moving off to the next bush. It just kind of the way he waddled towards them made it look like he was coming with a little bit more intent than he actually was. Ben, you'd like to know if this elephant could trample the cub? Yes, it certainly does have the physical capabilities of doing that, but I don't think it has the inclination to do it, you know. With lions, I think, yes, it could well happen more often, and lions are on bigger prides and easier to detect than a solitary leopardess and her cub. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. Sorry, Ellie Bull, we're going to leave you be. You've been upstaged by the leopards today, but good to spot you briefly. And how cool was that? 2 shots of the leopard. Oh, let's just stop here. It looks like mom and cub are bounding through the grass there. Tricky business with being on a live safari because sometimes our plans don't work out as well as we would like them to. But we are very, very happy to have welcomed all of you guys on board for those few moments with the leopardess and her cub. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to continue watching this morning's safari, we've still got another 2 hours or so, and you can just Google Safari Live to find us. It will be very easy. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time. Okay, everyone. Well, we need to catch up with Thandi, and while we do that, we are going to send you off to Steve.
What an amazing start to this morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am dying to see that little bundle of joy and interaction like that. Fantastic. I am so excited for all of you. Well done. No doubt you got some marvelous screenshots. And what we are seeing, ladies and gentlemen, after that giraffe finished his rumination and it chewed the cud in his loose vegetation in his belly is now being digested, it has moved up to probably one of the most unpalatable trees you can imagine. Those of you who've seen me on Bushwalk will remember the facial expressions I exhibited when I tried to eat a leaf of the silver cluster leaf. But what this individual is doing with his very dexterous tongue and very malleable lips is he's able to rip off the seeds and the pods of that cluster leaf. Those beautiful little purplish sort of pods. He's picking them off one by one. He moved from the one tree on the left now to the other one. I first had thought he was maybe trying to do something to his stomach, because by ingesting some tannin can potentially cause all sorts of things to happen inside. But look at those lips. Very, very accurate with that tongue. Ripping off those seed pods. Aaron, your question is very, very relevant, and yes, giraffe are ruminants. They are 4-chambered stomach animals, just like your cows, impala, buffalo, kudu, all have the same stomach. Now, essentially what happens is this giraffe and what ruminants can do, the benefit that they have is that they can feed. You see how accurate he is there. They can feed for a short period of time, filling their tummy, and then they can go off somewhere and ruminate and completely lower their brain energy while they're ruminating so they don't have to sleep. That look he had on his face earlier when he was ruminating, staring off into the distance, brain capacity very, very low, like he's meditating. So that's the ability that ruminants have, is they can feed when times are suitable, when conditions are suitable with regards to temperature, and then they can go and hide themselves in the shade and chew and chew and chew and ruminate. Right now what they do is that they just feed, they get a little bit of saliva on those pellets or the seed pods, and then he swallows it down, and then later when it's ready to, it will regurgitate them as we saw before and do the rumination. Having a little look, the oxpecker on the neck there, can you hear them? Very characteristic call. And what he was doing before, which was quite awesome, I thought, because of that thing on the neck, he was actually smashing his neck into the tree, and obviously having a really big scratch, of that really, really sort of bad-looking scab on the neck. And Bobby wants to know if another giraffe maybe caused that injury. No, those injuries are basically passed on by oxpeckers. The oxpeckers feed on ticks, but their primary diet is blood. So if they come onto the wound of a giraffe, they will actually peck that scab open, keeping it open, feeding on the blood, and it ends up leading to sort of big scabs and rashes like this. And oxpeckers are responsible for transferring a virus between the skin of giraffes called papillomavirus, which leads to big welts and big funny lacerations on the skin. Not too dissimilar to this, but I think this is mainly just a scab that has festered and been kept open and open and open over time. And I don't think it's not going to cause him too much harm. It's just a skin irritation. But nonetheless, it does lead to a very nasty looking wound on the neck. So we know that giraffe have the ability to move from one tree to another in search of food as the tannins increase. But we know for a fact from my face a month ago that there is a huge amount of tannin in this plant. So he is being very selective and picking off those beautiful little pink pods off of the plant, which will be full of all sorts of nutrients that will see him through the dry season. Absolutely marvelous. Look how tall he can get, unhindered, no competition from anyone else. Ava, you ask a good question. What is the purpose of the knobs on the head? They are called ossicones, and they're a lot smaller in the females than the males, and they are the only animal to be born with them on their head. They are not fused when they are born. They are loose, which enables their head to pass through the birth canal. But for the males specifically, as they get bigger, the ossicones get bigger. They fuse to the head, and they actually add into what the giraffe uses as a ramrod or a big hammer. And the giraffes will stand parallel to each other, broadside to each other, and swing that long neck, aiming the top of those ossicones into the head and body of their opponent. And you see that big bulge on the top of his head there? That's also calcifications on the head. It just adds extra weight to the blow, like a 9-pound hammer versus a 12-pound hammer. One of them is going to hurt a lot more just because of the force with which it is able to be arced and moved through the air. I've seen a male giraffe hit another one clean under the jaw and knock him dead, flat dead on the floor. So they can kill each other, and the purpose of it is for mating. The strongest males will mate, and females will always watch as the males stand and batter each other with what looks like an extremely powerful swing of the neck. It's one of the reasons they think the giraffe has evolved such a long neck, not just for the feeding competition, but also for, I'm just going to move forward to get this stick out the way, but also to enable that swing. There we go. Hello, pretty boy. Also to enable that swing, and obviously the giraffes that developed the longer neck got more of a swing, so genetic sort of lineage favored giraffe with longer necks, and so over time the longer neck just perpetuated. He's moved into another stick. Just one more inch forward. There we go. It's really quite special to spend time with giraffes on Djuma. So we are going to move on from this giraffe shortly and still continue on our quest in search of everything wonderful. And while we do so, we're going to go over to Taylor for an update about something in her eye.
I did get something in my eye. It was a big bug. I don't know what it was. I'm alright though. Thank you everybody for all your concerns. It just burns and becomes so itchy and then you can't see. So at least I can actually see again now. Still a bit itchy. I'm trying to not rub it. I don't know if a lot of these bugs have got some kind of a chemical defense. And then when we squash them in our eyes, they release it because they become highly agitated. These midges. Well, that one felt like a giant midge this morning, and it had happened as Faith went crash cut live. As that happened, I slammed on brakes, almost took my teeth out on the steering wheel, and yeah, so that happened. That was a lot of fun. I don't know if there's guests in camp. I'm actually keeping an eye out on my phone now because I can't get hold of Sheldon on the radio, and I don't want to go driving in front of the rooms at Chitwa if there are, of course, guests in camp. So we're just standing by. We'll have a little look around here to see if we can find anything. I can hear some guinea fowl alarming. They're making some noise. So we'll give Sheldon a call perhaps and ask him, and then we'll do some more investigating around here. But while we try and find out if there are any guests in Chitwa, Scott, of course, has got that little bundle of joy with Thandi.
Yes, we've been lucky. They've moved through a very thick area, but we've fortunately been able to stay with them. Well, not very thick, but a few little kind of small riverbeds and gullies. And it seems like Mom is now happy to take a breather over here. As I did say a little bit earlier, especially Mom, I haven't really noticed the cub's belly too much, but Mom does look to be well fed. And I'm guessing that they've been camped out for the last 36 to 48 hours on a kill. So from when her tracks came into the property 2 days ago, I'm sure she quickly snaffled up a meal, took the cub there, and that's where they've been hanging out until the early hours of this morning. How cool is this little cub keeping a beady eye on us? And it'll be very interesting to know how much time they've spent with vehicles over the last 3 weeks, how successful the other guides have been in tracking them down. We are unaware of. Some of you guys might know from following the other kind of lodges' Facebook pages or anything like that. But we've got no idea really where they've been moving, how much they've been seen. But this cub is certainly on the right track to become a very, very well habituated female leopard who hopefully we'll be able to follow very closely for years to come. Cute. But it does still have a long way to go. I'd say at least another 8 or 9 months before it is kind of completely safe, especially with the Hukumuri imposter male leopard who's moving into this area. Magical stuff. Mrs. Grumpy, you're impressed with how healthy Thandi's looking, and I agree, she certainly is looking in tip-top shape. She's not a youngster, there's no two ways about that. She's 11 years old, which as far as leopardess go, she's on the slightly older side of the spectrum. But she certainly is in great nick, and she appears to be a very successful hunter. She doesn't often appear to have much trouble finding food. It would be very interesting to be able to work out how successful one leopard is at hunting compared to another. Tricky, but it would be an interesting thing to try and work out. Joel, you'd like to know when will this cub start kind of hunting with Mom? From about a year of age, I would say there's a chance a cub could assist a mother through default in hunting, but they will never work as a team. They're not programmed to do that, and that's why it's through default more than anything else that, you know, her and the cub could be moving through the bush from A to B, and Mom could flush some prey towards the cub, and the cub will possibly instinctively latch onto it, therefore assisting. Oh, how cool is this? But I mean, even from now, Joel, and from younger than when we were looking at this cub now, from months back, it would have started stalking and pouncing on small little insects. Maybe a tortoise walked past the den sites, little flies, grasshoppers. There's so many little animals that will catch this cub's attention and allow it to practice and hone its hunting techniques on them. Even though they may not be edible prey, it is certainly useful, like I said, for helping the cub hone its skills. You would have also noticed this morning that it's spending a lot of time kind of playing with Mom. That's also a very useful play because, again, honing its skills. Here it goes, stalking up on Mom, deciding when to pounce. There we go. That's so cool. It's the second time it's done one of those funny kind of pounces straight up into the air this morning. Here comes another one, it looks like. This is going to be good. Oh, we've got the perfect angle because now Mom's walking straight towards us, and I think we're going to get a great shot. Come on, little cubster. One big pounce for us. No joy. But it could happen at any time. The further Mom gets away from Mom, the more likely it is to chase after it. Hello, the canine. You would like to know if a jaguar is bigger than a leopard. Oh, we may be in for some real golden opportunities here. Yes, jump onto that log. I mean that rock. There's not many rocks on Djuma, and to see a leopard on a little outcrop like this is just too beautiful for words. Now we just need the cub to follow, which I'm sure it will. Sorry, the canine, I'm getting so excited here that I'm not even sure if I answered your question, but yes, jaguars are bigger than leopards, considerably so, and a female jaguar will be considerably larger than a big male leopard. I'm told female jaguars can be about 120 kilos. Let me see if I can move us a little bit because the bushes are in the way. Just a tiny bit further forward. Ooh, may not be getting out of here, but should be okay. We've just disappeared down an almighty hole, and I'm not even sure if that got us the shot that we wanted. Not really. But how cool is this? The Djuma koppies. A koppie is a rocky outcrop, and this is as good as it gets for us here. I noticed it the other day on bushwalk, and I think it was with you, Davy, that I think I mentioned this is as good as it gets for us. Look at Mom teasing the cub with her tail. Bobby, you'd like to know if this cub's golden look will fade as it gets older. No, I don't think so. I think it's going to stay a very similar shade to what it is now. I don't think it's hugely different to Mom, to be honest, but maybe I'm just not recognizing or noticing the differences that you are. My attention to detail may not be as good as yours. Oh, well, that was absolutely incredible to have them on this little rock. Very happy about that, but now we need to see if we can get out of the hole that I put us in. Hold fingers. Oh, yeah. Well done. Well done. What car am I in, Rusty? Thanks, Rusty. Good job. They've hit it into another tricky area. We've spent extensive time tracking them through here, so I know this spot quite well. And they're heading into a bit of a tricky spot there now. Okay, everyone, as you can see, we're having some trouble getting through here, so while I negotiate this little riverbed, we're going to send you off to Taylor.
We had a really cool hippo that was wandering around outside the water and then disturbed all these Egyptian geese, which kind of worked in our favor, I suppose. Because now we get to see the orcas, the little orcas. I think Tristan described them as killer whales with their patterns that they have on their back. That is so funny. I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, I must mention that because that's exactly what it looks like. But they're still quite young. You can see them trying to flap their little chicken wings. But not any big feathers on them just yet, so no flying. They should be able to fly within a couple of weeks or so. They grow up so quickly, especially with all the dangers that lurk around a body of water from crocodiles. And, of course, yesterday we were chatting about the fish eagles and all the other raptors that like to move around here. But they're so precious. Look at that, self-sufficient already. Even though they might not be picking up much from the ground, they'll be doing their best. And that's a learned behavior from the adults. I can't help but chuckle when they wiggle their bottoms and they flap their wings like that. It's too precious. Oh, careful, there's an obstacle in the form of a little log. They seem to be able to navigate that quite easily, though. And I think that adult is just going to lead them to safety, to that long grass, to give them a little bit of cover, because they are exposed out in the open. There's another one. I wouldn't want to mess with an Egyptian goose, though. Can you imagine swooping on down and trying to steal a chick? I reckon those adults would give that raptor a run for its money. They are so territorial and of their areas. Never mind, you try and bother some of their chicks, and you'll find yourself in trouble. There we go. Usher them into the water, into the reeds. That was very cute to get to see them up close as well. That is nice. And that adult's very hungry, eating all the grass, maybe some grass seeds. What are those? Look more like rushes or reeds or something. Maybe some sedges in there too, which I'm sure they would love to eat. Now, has anyone wondering if a duck and a goose is the same thing? They are not. There are a couple of differences between the two, like where they nest. And, for instance, the sounds that they make. Is that an Egyptian goose on top of the tree? I'm going to go forward quickly. And no, there's another one. It's on the tree at the back. I'm just going to have to go forward. Oh, bye-bye. Don't go too far, because your little ones can't fly yet. I think over there. On those weaver's nests. Looks like it. Someone's sitting up there. Yes, and I think there has been an Egyptian goose nest up top there before. Lots of different birds nesting there. I want to see how those chicks get down from there. Can you imagine that, Seb? Do you think they just ran off to the edge and then dive bomb into the water and then hope for the best? It would be amazing to see something like that. Can you imagine? I know we've gone up with the drone a couple of times and seen all the eggs that are up there. I don't think with this nest, no, though. I think this is a new nest. Oh, goodness, there's all sorts of things around today. Seb, there's even a crake. There's two crakes. On the right-hand corner of this bank, there's a little opening. And you see... Yeah, straight in there, you'll see them. They're tiny little birds. There they are. There's one on either side, basically just in the foliage. A crake, which is also quite nice to see. I don't think I've seen one for quite some time, in fact. Have a little look. Look at those bright red feet. Chasing after insects. They're quite quick off the mark as well. There's one thing I've noticed with the smaller water birds, even the three-banded plovers. You're surprised at how quickly they can actually move for their size, but they're very zippy. Let's see, big feet as well for such a small bird. Yeah, so the black crakes. Very sweet. What I would like to see is a jacana walking on lilies. I haven't seen that for quite some time. That would be really, really nice. In fact, they've got really large feet. I don't think I've ever seen a jacana chick before, or one that's really, really young. And that would be quite cool, because I've shared a few pictures a couple of times with these little crakes. All the fluffy feathers quite similar to that of the Egyptian goose, down feathers. And then these massive feet. They're not the cutest looking things. And I wonder what a little crake looks like. I don't think I've ever seen a crake chick either. But there's both of them. I don't actually know if there's any sexual dimorphism between the two. Let me have a quick look at my book. My app has somehow undownloaded itself, so I need to get it back again. Black crake. No, I don't think there's much difference between the two. They even look quite similar in size. It's going down for a drink of water. Oh, and left its mark. Very cool. Well, it's nice to do a bit of birding here and there. We'll probably do some more this morning. Test with Seb. But Steve is still on the lookout for leopard, and I hope he gets his spots.
Thank you, Taylor. It's always nice to do some birding. We've just found a beautiful specimen. Look at that guy. You all have seen him before. I had a really nice party with him the other day. This individual looking very pretty with his long tail. In undergrowth, I can just hear the females chirping. But what happens is he looks so pretty and he has such a nice display. There we go. Oh, he's gone up. Oh, he's doing his display in the sky. Pity we can't get that because he went behind us. But he goes into the sky. He does this sort of action, and he's very brightly coloured, very stands out. Stands out, and the ladies look and go, ooh, look how strong he is. I want his genes. He must be the one who looks after my eggs. Not that they look after the eggs. The paradise waidas are very cheeky birds. Polygynous, meaning that the male will mate with absolutely every female that is willing to, and then she will go and lay her eggs in the nest of my favorite bird, the green-winged Pytilia. So they do all of the naughty stuff. They're eating seeds, they mate, they lay eggs, and they do absolutely no parental care. How is that for a life, eh? We are on Aubrey's Road. There's not too much of an update at the moment. We're kind of on our western side, and we thought we might go and check on the hyena den, because there is a huge amount of hyena tracks on this road, and there's an old hyena den on this road. So Ferg and I are hoping we might see what we can find there, and after that we'll continue on our search for Tumba. But while we do so, we got Taylor with a very small little insect.
Well, it's a very big of the very small insects. I think what we're looking at is a queen ant. It is massive. I'm going to put my finger behind it, Seb, just so we can sort of... That is my index finger. Sorry, my hands are very dirty because we were running around and cleaning cars this morning because we were going to do bushwalk. So you can see... Wait, let's do my pinky. There we go. We'll do that. So how crazy is that? See, it's got a massive abdomen as well. This is why I'm thinking it might be a queen ant. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know if she's dying, and I don't know how she got on the car. It's quite bizarre. That all rhymed. It wasn't supposed to. I don't know how I managed to do this sometimes. So, a bit strange, because the queen ant, of course, is very important in a colony of ants. Her sole responsibility is just to lay eggs and produce more workers and more soldiers. Now, I don't know if a colony can survive without their queen. Perhaps it was a new queen. I don't know, maybe after all the rain that we've had. Flown off and now lost her wings, but I don't know, hadn't got underground in time. I'm a bit confused as to what's actually happened, because I really don't know how it ended up on the dashboard. I haven't driven under any trees, I haven't done anything. Not that I think she'd be out and in the open anyways. She'd normally just be down in her chamber. She has everything done for her, especially when she is laying eggs. What do we do with her, Sebastian? Oh, she's on the move now. Right. Well, I'm going to ponder about how and what I'm going to do with this precious ant and how I'm going to help her continue her life. Maybe I'll put her on the ground. And Scott, of course, has got a little fluff ball again with Thandi, and I hope that that little one is still going to be pouncing around.
Well, they've just been taking a breather here. We managed to very fortunately catch up with them. It took us a while to get through that little riverbed. Dave actually had to jump off the vehicle because at one stage we thought it may flip onto its head. But it didn't, thankfully, and we made it through. And what's fascinating is that these two have been lying around. Your mom's just stood up now, but there's an impala feeding very nearby. It's got no idea these leopard are here. The impala's just on the other side of our vehicle, so we won't show it to you just yet, because it'll require Dave having to pan a long way away from the leopards, and that's where the action is for the time being. But just bear in mind that Thandi may have an opportunity to try and get their next meal. It's an adult male impala, but she's taken those down before. A little bit on the big side for a leopardess. It'll be an almighty wrestling match if she does in fact succeed. It was so cute when we initially found them here. Her and the cub were just lying on the ground, rolling around with one another. And not a worry in the world for now. Puma, you would like to know at what age leopard cubs will start eating meat, and it's from around 3 months of age as a general rule. However, what's interesting... Oh, here comes the little cub again. What's interesting is that Thandi took, on a number of occasions, meat back to the den sites when the cub was even younger. Oh, jump on. From even younger than 3 months, and it's absolutely bizarre that she did that. Not the best parenting, because taking food back to the den sites of a young and vulnerable cub is only going to attract more danger to it. So some strange stuff happened there, and we're not exactly sure if the cub was getting to feed on any of the kills that were being taken back, or if it was just mom that was snacking on them. I think the first thing we saw this cub eating was bacon, actually. I think it was Tristan saw it eating some remains of a young warthog. Now let's see if mom doesn't spot this impala. Let's watch very closely here. The impala's more to the right of where she's looking. I love the way the cub kind of follows mom's every move. Doesn't seem like she's detected it yet, but I'm confident she will shortly. She's heading in the right trajectory to see the impala. Let's just keep watching very closely, and if she jams on brakes, then we know she's spotted it. But for now, no, looking the wrong way. Even though she stopped there, she's looking in the wrong spot. And I've got a feeling this little cub could possibly blow it for mom the way it runs around up ahead and bounds into the air. Okay, let's keep moving. We may be able to get a 2-shot of her walking past the impala. Oh, no, the impala spotted them. Just heard the pa, pa. But we'll be able to hopefully get you some cool views of the impala shouting at the leopard. And there we go. That's going to work nicely. The impala's just directly through the bushes. You can see a little bit of movement. It's actually running towards the leopard. Oh, it just stopped behind that bush, but it's somewhere in there. And here it comes. How cool is this? So, isn't it interesting how the prey don't just flee, they rather keep an eye on the threat. And as you can see, it's following them closely here now. How cool. Let's see if I can't get us a few more 2-shots. Aaron, you'd like to know if a leopard's spots are unique, just like fingerprints. And yes, they certainly are. Each leopard has got slightly different spots, and that's how we can distinguish one leopard from another. They all look different. Not easy to tell though. Some people are far better at differentiating between leopards than others. I'm not exactly an expert. A lot of our viewers have become really good and can just take a glance at a leopard and know who it is. Now this is obviously not ideal for the leopard and her cub, because now everything in the general area is going to be on high alert, having heard this impala's insistent alarm calls. But thankfully they're not starving, so it's not a huge issue. It just means that if they were going to stumble upon an easy meal, the chances of that happening now are not as good. Okay. What a treat. What an absolute treat. Okay. Good stuff. Well, we are going to loop ahead of the leopards and send you across to Steve, who's got one of their favorite practice prey.
Favorite practice prey. I believe Tamba tried to kill one of these yesterday. We've got ourselves a pair of squirrels that have look seemingly just come out of their little burrow in the tree and quite enjoying the morning rays. It's not that cold in the Sabi sands at this time of year, but what we do find in the early morning is as the sun rises, it pushes all of that cold air down and you get a few moments of quite chilly weather, and so he's just enjoying his lovely rays as it comes onto his face, and is in fact in a marula tree with a cavity and surrounded by one of the squirrel's favorite fruits, the marula and the nut, that you often find the squirrels taking up into the little tree holes where they will hoard them for the winter months. Little family groups will live together, really enjoying. And if you come all the way down, Ferg, to the bottom of the tree, there's a hole about 1 meter up with just a squirrel's head sticking out of it. Straight in there. You'll see the squirrel's head. There we go. The middle of the picture. Isn't that a picture? I saw it climbing down and it went inside, and that is so cute. So we had a woodpecker earlier and one yesterday as well. Woodpeckers will often create the initial hole that a number of species will then utilize, including squirrels. You can see that hole is quite small, but the squirrel is able to get its head inside, and it's probably not the most ideal hole for a woodpecker to nest in, being so close to the ground, but for a squirrel it seems to be quite apt. I don't know who's the tourist now. I saw him. He is gawking at us, wondering what it is we would like. It's very likely that this little family has got a few... This is very comical. It's almost as if we staged this, but I promise you we did not. We're just fortunate to... Wait, it's gone. Now you see me, now you don't. The other squirrel at the top is doing some stretches now. That was quite funny. I wonder if he comes out again. But it's marvelous to see squirrels just doing their thing. They're always so busy. It's always quite difficult to get them on camera. But in the early morning, they like to sun themselves. As the winter starts to approach, as it starts getting a bit cooler, it will be something we see more and more often. And isn't that just such a nice picture of clouds building up in the background and the beautiful, majestic marula tree? The colors are just so amazing with the light coming from our right-hand side. There's definitely some weather building up in the distance. Whether we'll see some rain later is debatable, but it sounds like it's going to be a warm day. To my left, I can hear the galloping horse of the barred wren warbler, which locally is known, if it is calling, it is going to be a warm day. That's one of the local superstitions. There we go, having a little sniff. Squirrels are such overlooked little animals. There we go. Nice little posturing. Small little animals require lots and lots of energy to survive and to sustain themselves, and when you see them moving, you'll see how much energy that they actually use, hence the high need of seeds and high-valued food in their diet, such as nuts and fruits and such. But while we watch this squirrel dude's morning yoga routine, we're going to go back over to probably the cutest animal on Djuma at the moment, and with Mr. Scott Dyson.
Well, you can see the cub bounding off through the grass after Mom, and we're going to need to reposition again. So now they're heading down a road, and they are close to our eastern boundary at the moment, sadly. So that's a bit of a concern. And let me just turn us around a little bit more, get them waltzing off together. And what I'm thinking, I need to try and do, there's a little bit of a clearing up ahead which will allow us to loop ahead of them and get them walking straight down towards us, so that's what we'll try and do. I love the way the cub's got such a spring in its step, jogging to keep along with Mom, almost enticing her to try and play. But she's having she's having none of it. But the cub is still trying its best to urge her on. That was so cool. No ways. Alrighty. Well, we're getting spoiled absolutely rotten this morning, everyone. If you may be joining for the first time, it's not always like this. So you've joined at a good stage. I think everyone should phone a friend and tell them to log in and catch some of this magic, because it doesn't really get any better than this. And the more people that watch means the more places we can take you to. Simple equation, we need your help. Okay, let's do a big loop ahead, get ahead of them, and imagine if we can get the cub bounding after Mom straight down the barrel towards us. That will be the money shot. I'm going to suggest that we just, if you're just patient with me, guys, and just give me a short time to get ahead of them, it'll be the best, because if we send you away now, even though this isn't very exciting, then we may miss the magic when it happens. Oof, this grass is so thick and long at the moment that it's quite scary to off-road through, because you don't know if you're going to drive down a hole or into a stump. No, I just need to choose the longest, straightest section of road. Oh, no, she's just veered off. Don't veer off. This makes our lives a little bit tricky. I was hoping they were going to come straight down the road towards us, but they veered off it kind of to the left. Oh, no. She's popping out again. Yes, there she is. Here goes. Bobby, you'd like to know, how does Thandi tell the youngster to stay put when hunting? And it'll just be some kind of vocalization. What exactly, I'm not too sure. How cool is this? Perfect sunlight coming straight towards us. But yeah, it'll be some kind of audio cue. They often chuff, which is kind of breathing. Sounds something like that. Two young cubs as a form of communication. This is absolutely magical. Perfect sunlight. You can see Thandi's even having to raise her head to see over this long grass to make sure she doesn't miss anything. And here they go, straight past us, just meters from the vehicle. The cub's not quite as sure of us as Mom yet, but she'll get there. And considering how young it is, it's incredible that we are already so spoilt into the views that we are getting of it. Okay, let's do one more big loop ahead while the going's good, because it is a nice big grassy clearing that we can fairly safely and efficiently skirt around. I'm just going to give everyone a quick update on the Game Drive radio as to where we are. Stations Thandi and Youngster are mobile south on Drakensberg from Battalieu Junction. Okay. Now she has just slunk off the road. She may come back onto it. She is heading into quite a thick spot, so let's just bank one more guaranteed view of her before we have to negotiate our next bout of off-roading. More serious off-roading. This is mild off-roading for the time being. Straight towards us here, so we should get some more good views. It's it's really useful spending time with her as she moves about like this, because we get an idea of kind of pathways that she may like to use more than others. And we're actually very close to one of the areas where she used to stash this little cub. It was just before that time when she had a duiker and a waterbuck kill in the same tree. That kill was very close to where we are here, and literally in the exact direction where her and the youngster are heading now is where she stashed the cub in a small termite mound prior to making those two kills. Well, it doesn't get any better than this. We've literally had this leopardess and her cub for coming on 2 hours now. We found her very early on in the drive, and spoiled rotten. No other vehicles have wanted to join us here. I'm not too sure why. Obviously there's some other action elsewhere, but we really need to just take a moment to be grateful for this wonderful, wonderful morning. Good. Now, we are going to send you across to Taylor and a squirrel while we try and get you another view of these two.
Oh, what a pity, what a pity. If you keep an eye out on the Instagram for Safari Lives, at Safari Live Official, I quickly shared a really cool video. We had a squirrel, a tree squirrel, feasting on some marula nuts. It was sitting out in the open. It was quite nice. So sorry we missed that, but you can go and have a look on it. Remember to like and follow the at Safari Live Official page. So I think today's my last day. But yeah, keep an eye out. I'll be doing lots of little videos of all sorts of cool things that I see around camp. And yeah, it's quite nice out on drive. Because if we do zoom into something, if it's a rare bird, and you know what the birds are like, as soon as they normally see the camera, they fly away. Who have we got? Hello, Nyala. Hello, hello. It's a young one, a young boy. Very relaxed, in fact. We're so close to it, I thought it was going to run away from us. But no, we are in luck. Just very, very carefully plucking some of those leaves. Are you eating from a jacket plum? It does. It looks like this actually is feeding on a jacket plum. They're nice trees. They're getting a very, very nice fruit, which you're able to use the seed oil for many, many different things. You can use it to oil your gun. You can use it if you've got any bald spots. You can rub it on there, and apparently it's supposed to promote hair growth, which is quite nice. The fruit is quite tasty too, and it attracts soap bugs. I remember seeing them once on bushwalk, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see them. And I'm sure they're filled with all sorts of other wonderful things that are good for this antelope. Just munching away on it very gently. Oh, no, everybody, please don't panic. I'm not going anywhere. We all have turns to take over the Safari Live page. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. I wouldn't just drop a bomb on all of you like that. I would have probably I'm not leaving Safari Live. It might be someone else's turn to play around on the Instagram page and do the Instagram stories. I'm trying to duck to get out of a shot, but it's quite difficult. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I've just had my fun from Friday and then yesterday and today's Sunday. So we typically do it on the weekends. Or I might keep it for a little bit longer because I quite enjoy doing Insta stories. I might ask Louise, who's also head of the social media, if I can please have it for a bit longer. Cool, but we're going to carry on driving around. I'm not sure where we're going to go yet. We're going to see if we can find Hosanna. Maybe he's still around on Chitwa. But Steve has got a feathered bird.
Yes, I do have a very beautiful blue feathered bird, Taylor. And I wonder if the folks back home, the bird enthusiasts, could quickly tell me what bird this is. I'll give you a clue. It will be leaving in the next few weeks. 2 months or so, but it'll probably stay a little bit longer because of the vegetation, meaning the rain, meaning the insects. It's a very common and non-breeding migrant coming all the way from the north breeding in places like Europe, the Middle East, and even in Asia. So those are the clues I've given. I wonder how many of you can quickly comment and tell me what species it is. He's been very well behaved and been sitting with us here for a long time, which is quite common for this bird. They're a very easy bird to film because they don't seem to go very far. They like what we call the sit and wait hunting technique, where they'll sit on that branch and then fall on the ground, taking crickets. And well done, Jojo and Project Alpha. You were quick on the draw indeed. A European roller. For the rest of you who got that right as well, congratulations. It is important to be paying attention to these birds now, because they're going to be leaving within, as I say, a few weeks to a month, and then we will not see them again until at least November. Earliest October, but at least November, I'd say. And their favorite food comes in the form of grasshoppers and beetles and termites. And they'll sit on a branch like that and wait for them, and then just fall down on them and then grab them, flying back up to their perch to smash them against that branch that they're sitting on before swallowing. So really, really nice to see. And I always enjoy the first time we see European rollers, because it is a nice forthcoming of the summer months. You might get European bee-eaters at a similar sort of time, and the woodland kingfishers maybe a little bit later, but European rollers always herald to me the summer months and the greening that is to come, and shortly followed by blooms of flowers and baby animals in the form of impala and then wildebeest. So I do like the seasonality of the birding we get here, and this is the best time of year for birding in South Africa if you are an enthusiast, because all of these migratories will be gone within a month or so. Is indeed, Sherry, a beautiful, beautiful bird. All the rollers are beautiful. And what do we know about beautiful birds? One thing that you can be certain of is with beautiful birds is that they do not sound very pretty. So if you look pretty, then you generally sound very, very bad. I'm going to play you the call of the European roller, because you don't actually hear them in South Africa. And I wonder if after I play this, and while I'm playing this and talking about it, if anyone can comment and tell me why you think you do not hear the call of the European roller in South Africa. I'm going to play it. Have a listen. How charming was that? It sounds like a monkey having a fight. So I wonder if anyone can comment on that and let me know why they think you do not hear the call of the European roller in South Africa. It's a very easy answer, but it is something that not too many people are aware of. So that is obviously recorded somewhere else, and he was very confused to be hearing it this side of the equator. Nice strong beak, perfect for breaking and catching beetles and grasshoppers. They will feed on invertebrates as well, small skinks and lizards if they can get them, but it is not their primary diet. Even a scorpion or two might fall prey if they happen to come across them. Ah, Mrs. Grumpy, you have nailed it on the head. We do not hear the call because she said a mating call, and that is correct. Not just a mating call, but why do birds call? And birds call for territory. And what's the purpose of a territory? Yes, a territory is designed for the purpose for breeding. That's why we have the woodland kingfisher that comes here. They do some really, really loud calls. They take over the scene and then they breed. And the calling is to demarcate their territories. Birds don't scent mark in any way. Calling is their primary mechanism. And if these birds come here, there's no point in calling because the breeding has been done. So it's quite an easy thing to remember. If you're in an area and birds are calling and there's all sorts of bird song happening, then you know those birds are potentially breeding. And we're going to move on from this bird. We're going to continue on our quest, but I believe Scott has still got that lovely bundle of joy.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, I'm just midway through a radio conversation. Copy perfect. Keep coming. Let me know when you're closer. Somebody would like to join us in this magical sighting. Now, it seems like Thandi is heading back to the very same termite mound where she stashed this cub before. And I wonder if that's not where she would like to set up the next base camp for the time being, where she can then deploy herself out on hunting missions. So I'm guessing that's what's going to happen. It'll be great prospects for our afternoon if she does in fact do that. The termite mound was just up ahead of us, but we need to cross through a little riverbed more on our right here. It's handy having been here before. What I want to actually do is get us quite low down into this riverbed so they walk past us at kind of eye level, going for gold. Temporarily lost view of them, but I'm sure they're going to pop out here somewhere shortly. Unless they've already gone past, but I don't think they have. They have already gone past us. They're on the opposite side. Karen, you would like to know how much does the cub weigh at the moment? And, sheesh, I don't know. Tricky to be certain. I would guess 5 kilograms. But yeah, no idea, to be honest. I mean, if any of you, it looks to me like the size of an average domestic house cat, a little bit chunkier. So, yeah, if any one of you would like to weigh your house cats and let us know if they think they're a similar size to this critter, that would be very useful. I've never had cats, so never weighed one. How cool is this? A leopard on a log. It doesn't get better even if it is only 6 inches off the ground. And I'm very, very happy that we've come here, because it seems like Thandi knows that this is a spot that the cub is kind of familiar with. The termite mound that it's hidden in before is just to the left of it, not too far away. Dave's about to show it to you there. You can see a little clump of sand off and up to the left. So it's in that termite mound where there's some cavities where the cub can hide out. We've seen it there before, many months ago. And I think Thandi's just going to spend the rest of the day here until such point in time that she thinks it's time to go and get their next meal, where she'll actually leave the cub here in all likelihood, head off alone, be far more stealthy and effective that way. And what's important is that it's great prospects therefore for the afternoon safari, because we've got a good base to work off now that we know where we think their next headquarters will be. And after all this rough and tumble, it's time to do some grooming. Make sure they're not too dirty and covered in little bits of grass seeds and parasites. Joel, you would like to know, from what age can you start using the cub spot pattern to identify it? Well, from day one. The spot pattern doesn't change. It stays the same. So, yeah. Right from the get-go. I mean, of course, the day it's born maybe is not true, but from now till when it's an adult, its spots aren't going to change. Yes, it may get a few extra nicks on its noses from fights or notches in its ears, but its spot pattern will remain the same. And if you look very closely, just above the cub's, it's going to be difficult because it's moving so much now, but just above the cub's top whisker line, it's got very distinctive spots that looks like 4 on its right-hand side and possibly another 4 on its left. and those will stay true. Mom's got 3 on her left. I'm not too sure how many on the right. But yeah, Joel, the spot patterns are something that will remain true throughout the leopard's life. Blue Cozy, you would like to know what would happen if Tingana, the father of this leopard, would actually greet it if it came onto the scene. Yeah, possibly. They usually don't have too much to do with the cubs, but it may. I haven't seen them together, so I don't know from any first-hand experience. So I just need to jump on the radio again. For now, she's stationary just north of Mamba, west of Drakensberg. I'd say 100 meters north and west of the Drakensberg-Mamba junction in the drainage. Whew. Well, I'm quite relieved that they've stopped moving. They've taken us through some seriously tricky areas to negotiate this morning. David looks like the cub might be creeping up on her again. Let's see if the cub doesn't do an almighty pounce here. Should be coming into frame shortly. There we go. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. I love the way this cub just jumps for joy. It's done it a couple of times today. Tiring business being a mother. Imagine if she had 2 cubs, and sometimes leopards will even have 3. Imagine how much work she'd have then. I mean, even just this one seems like a bit of a nightmare. Paula, I couldn't agree more. You've just mentioned that this is too sweet for words, and it really is. We've been completely spoilt this morning. And the good news is it's not over yet. Looks like they're going to set up shop here for the rest of the morning. Who knows how long they'll be playful for, but for now it seems like this cub still has lots of energy. And it looks like it's planning its next attack. That was a very good little pounce. Straight onto Mom's head and straight over. Great work on camera there too, Dave. Not easy keeping up with that flying furball. Well, magic, magic stuff. Good, I'm going to need some time to help get the other vehicle into the sighting, and while I help them do that, we will send you across to Taylor.
We've got a little bird. It's quite difficult to see because it's silhouetted up from the sun. Now, it's got like little bars on it. It's got a very hooked beak. I don't know if it's an adult or not. It looks like it had a fork in its tail too. I'm just having a look at shrikes. Like I said, unfortunately, my app won't open on my phone, which is a bit of a pain. I need to reinstall it, I think. And I have absolutely no idea what we're looking at. It also looked like it had a little orbital ring around it. I just want to see. 390. Let's start looking. I wonder if it's not a juvenile. So I said it looks like a juvenile shrike. Maybe a juvenile red-backed shrike? Gone. That was really quite cool. And then you can have a look here. The reason, I'll show you why I say that. You couldn't really see the colors very, very, very well. But if you look here, it kind of had the barring on it. And it did have a very, very pointed, sorry, we are using the bushwalk camera, so I do apologize. It is taking a little longer to do all these sorts of things. Seb is trying to multitask with his hands like you've never seen before, but you're doing a great job. So, I mean, it wasn't quite that color, but it was more kind of like that. Or maybe it was a female. Maybe it was a female. Maybe it wasn't a juvenile. But I'm not sure. We couldn't see the colors on the back very well, of course, because of the sun. And I couldn't go underneath the tree because the antenna was going to hit it and then knock the bird off. So I'm not certain as to what that was. What about, the book fell off. What about a lesser grey shrike, maybe? No, it didn't have much black on it. It looked quite light in colour. If anything, I thought it was going to have more browns on it. Maybe it was this one. A female red-backed shrike. But I'm uncertain. But you can send those screenshots through, and we can have a little look a bit later. Sometimes it's quite nice with those screenshots, and you obviously go back and you have a look at them. It makes it easier to see. But that was nice. I like to see things that I'm uncertain as to what they are. We're going to miss it. Are we trying to now navigate? Ah, sneaky. We got it.
Yeah.
It is, Mr. James. You said it is Mr. James Henry. Sorry, me finish that. Said it is a female red-backed shrike. Yay! Go Taylor for identifying a bird correctly. That doesn't happen very often. So make the most of that. It was quite cool, actually, to see. I can't say that I've ever really seen a female red-backed shrike up close. And like I said, it was hard. You just couldn't see what the colors were on the back of the wing. But the most important thing is when you are trying to identify birds and you're not sure, as long as you can try and put them in the right category. So there I said it looked like a shrike to me because of the bill, had a very sort of hook on the end, and then just something about it looked very shrike-like, maybe the size of it. So you just try and do those things when it comes to identifying birds. Look at the beak shape, look at the feet, any colours, any markings on the chest, anything like that, or if they've got orbital rings. So we'll continue on our birding mission and see what else we can find out here in the bush. Scott, of course, is stealing the show.
Well, good luck with the birding, Taylor. We are not too interested in the birds at the moment, and that's due to the fact that we've got this incredibly cute little furball right in front of us. Just try to nurse from Mum a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see how much longer it tries to drink milk for. But I am guessing that because they have probably come from a kill, judging from Mum's belly, that the cub too has also been feeding on meat. And it'll be more kind of in times where there's not too much meat around that the cub will substitute meat with milk. And I guess a combination of Mum also deciding as and when to start weaning the little cub away from milk. But the cub's not ready for that just yet, and you can see it's going straight in to try and get some more. But what did Mum do there? Did Mum disallow it? It looked like it may have. This cub's really loving this log. It keeps heading back to the log and then launching its attack from there. Attacks of playfulness. Mario, you would like to know which was the previous cub that this leopardess raised, and his name is Tumba. We spent some time with him yesterday afternoon. He's just over 2 years of age now. I'm not too sure on the finer details of his age, but a beautiful, beautiful young male leopard who tends to be camping out quite a bit on Djuma at the moment. I think we're actually missing him quite a bit. I think he's spending a lot of time in the northeastern corner of our property, but it's just an area where we haven't been working kind of and searching too much in. But the reason why I think he's lurking there is that we've seen him on a number of times in similar kind of areas, and a young male leopard like Tumba, especially with lots of big males in the area and a territorial dispute busy taking place with the two kind of big dominant males of the area, he'll be lying low in an area where those two are not spending too much time. So kind of smaller areas than a leopard would normally kind of traverse is the likely scenario of young Tumba. Oh, here comes the cub again. Dave's ready for the pounce, using the cover to stalk up to Mum. We're probably just going to see it peeking its head over the branch, or is it going to go under? I'll be interested to see what it decides to do, under or over. Seems like there's a little head peeking over. Too cute. You can't stop out in the open like that. You've got to continue your attack. Oh, and there it is. The tail bore the brunt of it, and it looks like Mom is getting slightly less playful as it starts to heat up. There was a little snarl there as the cub came back onto the scene. But now, even though the cub's chewing on her ear, she doesn't seem too concerned. Oh, there was a little kind of snarling huff that sent the cub off in the opposite direction. Carol, you'd like to know if Thandi has been an estrus since the cub was born. No, not that I'm aware of. It's unlikely that she'll be an estrus until that cub becomes independent again. Well, not again, becomes independent, which will be anywhere from around 12 to 18 months. 12 months being very, very young for a leopard to start creating an independent scenario for the cub. So yeah, it's going to be at least, I would say, another year before she comes into season again. They can only raise one set of cubs at a time. It would be too much work to try and take on two. Even though in her situation she is only raising one cub. Sometimes a leopardess like this will have to raise 3 cubs at a time, but that's uncommon. Kind of 2's the norm. But yeah, she just has to wait until the next round of mating to see how big her next litter will be. It would have been fascinating to know how many cubs she actually gave birth to with this girl that we're looking at now. It could have been 2 other siblings that both died at a young age or were killed by something at a young age. But the first and only cub sightings we've had is just this one individual. Oh, that wasn't very graceful. You need to practice that move again. Look at those claws coming out of her paws. Proud cat mama, you would like to know if domestic cats and leopards share any of the same behavior, and you tell me. I mean, judging by their behavior this morning, it's fairly cat-like, and I wouldn't think it's hugely different to a domestic cat, or how a domestic cat would behave with its young kitten. So yeah, I think there's many similarities between a domestic cat and a leopard. Just in terms of the way they move, the bonds between mother and cub, the playfulness between mother and cub, I think will be very similar. But just like human kind of scenarios, each family and each leopard will be different, as will each domestic house cat's relationship with its siblings, etc., etc. The list goes on forever. But yeah, I think they are very similar beasts. Okay. Now, sadly, as this poor other vehicle's getting onto the scene, it looks like Thandi is getting up and mobile again. But I think she's just going to lie down in the shade. I think that's what she's looking for, because I'm confident that this is going to be the spot where she stashes the cub for the next short while until she decides to head off hunting again. Hopefully she's successful on Djuma and takes the cub back to a kill on Djuma that we can then go and enjoy witnessing. For now, she's just thinking about what her next move should be. Seems like she could also be listening to something. You can see how her ears are twitching and very kind of alert. How much time left? Still quite a lot of time left on this morning's safari, so the good news is they've decided to come back to us. Perfect. Maybe it was something she just heard down there and wanted to double check what it was. Just to make 100% certain there's no issues, no possible threats. And even though it is a very peaceful and tranquil scene here, there are threats that could pop up at any moment. Good stuff. Well, we're going to stay put and send you across to Steve with a mega mammal.
Thank you, Scotty. Now we just stopped to look at a flower, which I'll talk about shortly, and we saw some kudu moving on our left-hand side that we thought, oh, that might be interesting. And then we saw the flapping of the elephant's ears as he then chased the kudu off, because the kudu move quite stealthily through the undergrowth, and elephants don't like to be surprised. But look how dense the vegetation is here, folks. It is immense. If we hadn't have stopped to talk about a flower, we would not have seen the flapping of the elephant's ears, let alone the kudu. So that's quite something. So he had a bit of a fright. He chased the kudu off a bit, and then he cooled right down again. So I'm guessing it's a male, but from this distance and with that visual, it's very hard for me to honestly say. As Fook just pans out, you'll see what it is we're contending with here in the thick savannah in Djuma. Okay, from our bad look at an elephant, we'll hold on thoughts about that flower, and I think Scott's got an update for you of Thandi and her little cub.
Well, no updates really, just the same kind of... Sorry guys, I just had to snap a few pictures there, even though I'm not supposed to, forgive me. Yeah, so more of the playful happiness. Oh, interesting, a little snarl from Thandi there, and that's interesting. Maybe it's got to do with the fact that there's a second vehicle on the scene. Hard to be certain. They have finally made their way in here. And here it comes again. Ah, too good to be true. Well, Hasmam, you'd like to know how long do blue eyes last on a leopard cub? The first time I saw this little leopard cub, it had blue eyes. It was probably mid-December that I saw it. Early December. And I would say probably, yeah, maybe for the first month or two of its life. Not necessarily all cubs will have bluish eyes, and sometimes certain individuals' cubs will last longer, or will stay a bluish color for longer. Again, with all these kinds of questions, I can't emphasize enough that if we think of us as humans, our own species, with a question like this, it's like saying, how long will a baby boy human eye stay blue? And your answer will be, well, it depends on the individual. And it's the same with wild animals. There's no set rules. All of them are their own individual. And, yeah. I guess that may help one's kind of train of thought with wildlife-related questions. They can often be related to us as humans. Wisteria Whisper, yes, you're right, the cub is very full of it this morning. I don't think I've ever seen it so playful, and I guess it's a combination of the fact that it's kind of growing and becoming bolder and more confident. But yes, this morning has been absolute pure joy with regards to the cub's energy levels. may as well take a moment just to breathe. I've been chatting non-stop for just about 2 hours now, so I don't have too much more to say. Safari Dean, no, we will not. We will not call leopard cubs kittens. It's a good question. I'm not sure kind of where the divide becomes, but I think all of the big cats are termed, well, youngsters are termed cubs, and the smaller cats like, excuse me, serval, caracal, I think those would be termed as kittens, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think everyone will know what you're talking about. Very good. Well, it seems like they're going to move off ever so slightly. I don't think they're going to move too far, but we may have to reposition, and while we do that, we are going to send you off to Steve and a tree.